Hey YouTube, it's a white guy here. I wanted to talk about Wolcen and not necessarily do a review on the game. I wanted to talk about what good ideas the developers had that could maybe be implemented into ARPGs that have came out already or that are coming out in the future. So yeah, I was just going to go through some good ideas and then at the end do some bad ideas that they implemented that I don't necessarily recommend for any upcoming ARPGs that might come out later in the year. So first, good idea the Wolcen had online offline mode. I think nowadays it's kind of a necessity. Many players like to game on the road, or like if you're on an airplane or something, just want to bring out your laptop, grind away a couple levels. Online offline mode is fantastic for that kind of stuff. And if you also want to mod the game, you can do so in a closed environment. So you can test out builds, theorycraft. Maybe there's some community mods out there that you would want to try. That's what offline mode could be used for. And I think it should be implemented in more games. Next up, Champions of Stormfall mode. Just to show you what this is, let me go ahead and return to the main menu here. After you beat the story mode of Wolcen, which doesn't take too long, you get access to Champions of Stormfall mode, where it's basically Diablo 3's like adventure mode thing. And I believe once you beat the game on one character, you can come back on a brand new character and immediately have Champion of Stormfall access. And what this is good for is you don't have to replay the story over and over again. Like you have to do with like Path of Exile, which no one really likes, and so that's what Champion of Stormfall and game modes like that. So just in-game content that you can grind away at, and is I think is a very good implementation. And I'll go into what Champion of Stormfall mode allows you to do in Wolcen later on. So our next topic up I want to talk about is stats allocation, and as soon as my game loads in here, I'll talk about it. Alright, so the stat allocation is nice. You see here I have leveled up just recently just so I could show you what it looks like. And come over here, boom. You have ferocity, which is just crit chance basically, toughness, which is health, force shield, it tells you everything, agility, wisdom. I really like this a lot. I don't like systems where it just automatically puts points in depending on like what class you are, and there are no classes in Wolcen, in a sense. But yeah, this I think is very important. You have a lot of customizable options here. You can also reset your attributes for 36,000, which isn't too much. As you can see, I have 639k right now, and I've been spending my money a lot, so it's not too bad to get enough to reset. Most people have been putting their stuff into ferocity because it's crit chance. You want to kill stuff as fast as possible, which is understandable. I was actually using a broken build earlier, which they just patched, the bleeding edge build like this, and so I didn't need any damage, so you could put everything into toughness. And if you wanted to do like an attack speed build, you can go into agility, and maybe you wanted some attack speed with some status ailment chance score. I really like this system. It allows the player to make the choice, and it also adds a layer of complexity where it looks easy on the surface, but and if you want to master it, take some knowledge, take some practice. I really enjoy those kind of systems. Next up is the ability level up and point allocation system. So I'll just go into the point allocation. So this is your passive attributes allocation system here. It looks more like Path of Exile to players who know that. You can basically start wherever you want on this inner ring, and you just branch out to where you want to go. And these yellow golden node things all have special attributes. Some of them have a kiss curse effect. Let's see if I can find one. So here, one more projectile to all projectile skills, minus 50% all projectile damage. I really like stuff like that. It adds a lot of build diversity and thought process that goes into just making builds and stuff. Now, I'm not going to go into the balancing issues this game has because there are broken nodes that you just obviously would want to pick. I think one of them here is like 60% crit chance score. That's just an automatic pickup that it's plus 60% crit chance, you know. I'm not saying that one's broken, it's just like an automatic pickup. So yeah, there's balancing issues obviously with Wolcen and this passive skill tree. But having a passive skill tree like this where it allows a lot of customization, a lot of thought process, I think is really awesome. I wish more games would implement, like even just regular RPGs. Now, Wolcen does have a wheel system over here on the left where you can like spin the wheels. I'm not sure, so see if I spin it, I lost all these allocations because this doesn't connect anymore. Easy enough, I can just spin it right back, it doesn't really change anything. I'm not sure how effective this is. I really don't know what kind of purpose this serves besides just like lining up stuff. Like I don't ever see a situation where I'd be like, oh, you know, I really need to switch to this tree, you know, right now. Maybe they're out there. I really don't know. The game's still kind of early. It's about a week old or so, maybe 2 at this point. So I'm not sure how much this rotating thing. It's a nice little change. It's like why not have it? I guess, you know, it doesn't. Putting it in really doesn't change anything, I don't think, but it's an interesting system that I don't think has been fully exploited yet. And I use exploited in a build making sense, not necessarily finding bugs or whatever. Okay, so, and if you wanted to put a point in, all you do, you know, is just click, and boom, you got your point. You can just click again and it takes it away. So, next up, the ability level up system. So, oops, let's see here. Here we go. So I have all my abilities here. I have every ability in the game on this character. That's one of the things you can do in this game is you can get every ability on your character. Not necessarily use them all at the same time. But you level up your... Let me go to a skill. I only have 1 point in. Let me see here. Okay, Stings of Creon. Here we go. So this is what a ability looks like as soon as you get one. Okay, so you level up your ability here just the same way as you level up in game, just experience. Obviously your levels level up faster than you do your level, so keep that in mind. And yeah, at level 5 you get this node here that you can click on that says Rage Cost -20. It's, you know, good to have. And to show you what it looks like when you have a bunch of points, so I'll just use this one. You see, I'm at level 75. The max level with spells, I believe, is 90, and that's the same level as your character level max. So if I were to unclick all these, I have 10 points I can play with. That I can choose a bunch of different stuff, and I really like this because it's not just like Diablo's system where you choose a rune and that's just your rune for that ability. You have a lot of build diversity here. Just to show you, converts Aether damage to lightning damage. So just to show you, I gotta get some willpower here. So boom, I throw it down, it's a lightning effect, right? And if I were to take it off to make it Aether again, which is what its base is, see it changes the effect, and obviously the stats and damage change with it. And there's different reasons why you would take a negative damage on that, because you might have lightning leech or anything like that. So yeah, games need to implement stuff like this where you can change your abilities. And to change your abilities doesn't really cost anything. You just left click, unselect it, select it, whatever you want. And you have 10 points. I believe 10 is the max. I've looked up, I don't think you get any more skill modifier points past like level 40, like 50 or something like that for your skill. So yeah, really great system that needs to be implemented more. I really like it. Adds a lot of build diversity. Okay, so back to the Champions of Stormfall mode. What this offers is you can either click this guy or click the letter N for November, on your keyboard, and it opens up this menu. And you're like, whoa, this is a whole lot of buttons. This looks confusing. But what this basically is that it's a city that you're building up that give you different little perks. So here,
we have been waiting for
every time you click on something, some dude pops up and talks to you. The main currency, I guess not currency, the main way you level up is this experience thing called productivity. Basically, every time you do a rift or a greater rift, I'll try to get into those here in a little bit, you get productivity at the end. So I leveled up Stormfall Palace, gives you productivity, will be permanently increased. So the more of this you have, the more productivity you'll get at the end of each rift or dungeon or whatever you want to call it. So I leveled this up first, and that's all this is. And then you can come over here and select the different things you want. So I'll just click on some of these. Like you can do energy to gold to energy. So you see it costs 2,000 productivity, or it takes 2,000 productivity and what's that, 100,000 gold to make 10,000 primordial affinity, which is the experience that you need to level up your abilities. Or no, sorry, that's the experience you need to it's this currency right here. Where am I at? This currency, which you can use to level up your abilities, just to show you. You come over here, oh, I want to level up wailing arrows. I'm gonna spend some and level up that skill. So that's what primordial affinity is. Anyways, let's go back to that screen. You can do the opposite. You can do primordial affinity to gold if you need some extra gold, you know. You can send out people on missions to bring you back gold, bring you back accessories. These change every time you come out of a rift. You can upgrade stuff. You can put an item on here and upgrade it to a rare, legendary. You can increase the quality of it, which if you see in the top right hand corner of this weapon, it's, you know, I can increase the quality, which increases the stats on it a little bit. So a lot of cool stuff you can do in here. A lot of just ways to, you know, give some flavor to the end game rather than just grinding for better loot. You can grind to get gold, you get gold faster, you can get weapons, you can get items. Let's see here, you can these are like Uber boss things you can get, the maps, so you can just go in and kill an Uber boss for a lot of cool gear. You can upgrade your storage space in here. This gives you the last transformation, which I'll go into later. This will give you transformation meter increase, permanently increased. It just gives you a plus passive skill point. Obviously, you can only do this once. You can't do this like an infinite amount of times. Permanent gold find boost. There's a lot of cool permanent magic find boost. A lot of cool stuff you can work for in here. It really adds flavor to the late game. You're not just grinding maps or rifts or greater rifts just constantly. I mean, you are doing it in this game, but it just adds a little something on top of it, which I think more games should implement. Alright, optional maps and modifiers. I don't have an optional map. Unfortunately, I was trying to get one before making this video, but I just couldn't get it. But basically, just to go into this, most ARPG fans know Diablo 3. Your mandates board right here is just a regular rift. It's a rift at your level 72. You go in, you do like either an objective or kill all the enemies, and you leave, and then you get productivity at the end, which goes to your buildings and stuff. That's all. It's just a regular rift. This is your greater rift system here. And you can put in optional maps in here. You don't have to have a map. You can just pick a level. Let's see, the highest level I've gone to is like level 109 monsters. And I can roll area modifiers if I want. Just to show you, this is all optional. I don't have to do this. Champion enemies have 54 max health. You know, underling champions have 28% curse chance on hit. Like that'd be easy. I'd throw that in there. And this is also an optional modifier after you throw in, you can like add 5 modifiers, and also ups the magic find, quantity, and productivity bonuses. So a lot of cool optional little things in here that you don't necessarily need to do. Like the map slot, you can add in maps where it has extra treasure chests or extra these loot goblins called wealth omens, or just like gold beetles things. You can also just do an adept one if you just want to do something super easy. A lot of cool little options in here, and they don't really limit your gameplay at all. It's really cool. It doesn't cost any money to get in here, besides if you roll area modifiers, which doesn't cost much at all. I think it's really awesome and a really cool system that more games in the future should implement. A lot of optional just modifiers and things like whatever you want to do, you can do.
Purple Phoenix. Always.
Okay, next up is transformations. So this game has transformations. This meter right here just fills up as you kill monsters. And if you want to bust a transformation, you can bust it. And to go into the transformation menu here, we have the aspect of and you actually transform into this monster here. Aspect of Dawn is the first kind of default option. You play as this guy in like the tutorial of the game. And then you can read all their abilities here if you want to. Aspect of War, Aspect of Infinity, which is the one I like the most, and Aspect of Flesh. And basically it's just an invincible form where you do a lot of damage. And I'll go into this in the bad idea section just a little bit as well. Just tell you why. It's not a bad idea in a sense, it just needs some fixing. So yeah, transformation is really cool. I think games should implement something like this. Maybe you don't transform into a god being, but I think it's a really cool system. If you're like really low on health and you need to get invincible real quick, you can bust this, kill all the monsters around you, and be invincible for a good like 20 seconds or so. Okay, no gear stat requirements, and this kind of plays into where am I at here? Let's see. Here we go. Ferocity, toughness, agility, and wisdom. You can almost think of this as like intellect, agility, like strength for ferocity, and then I don't know what you would call toughness, just toughness, I guess. And in other games, you would have a stat requirement, like this chest piece might have like requires 100 intellect or something like that. And I don't like that. I think that having no requirement on this is awesome. Basically, you just go off with the stats that come with it, and if it's good for you, you keep it. If not, you sell it, drop it. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's basically all I have for that. I think it's a cool system where you're not limited in your choices. If you're a bad player and you pick bad items, sorry, like you're gonna suck at the game. I like that. I like there's no like catch in a sense, like a safety net. And the last good idea this game has had was the legendary and unique system. So most legendaries in games are items that have a extra modifier on it that's maybe unique to that item itself. You guys all know this from Path of Exile and Diablo, like Headhunter belt from Path of Exile. It's a unique belt or a legendary belt, and you get the effects of a elite monster on you for like 20 seconds after you kill them. So Wolcen does a little bit differently, and I think I like it. I still gotta play with it a little bit more. So legendaries in this game are just buffed yellows. That's all they are. So yellows have a max of 4 modifiers on them. You can see at the bottom: attack crit chance, crit damage, physical damage on attacks with this weapon, and rend damage on attacks with this weapon. Those are all. It's a max amount of modifiers I can have. Legendaries allow you to come with 6, and that's all legendaries are. They're just better yellows. I like that a lot. I think it adds it allows yellows to be good in a sense, because you could get you could get 4 god tier rolls on a yellow and 6 mediocre rolls on on a legendary, and that yellow would still be better. So I think that's a really cool system. And then uniques are the the items that have like their own special effects to them. So this specific Catalyst will always have like attack damage, spell damage, rage generation, and willpower. And you cannot change these. And you also can't add, so Catalyst you can usually have, let's see if I have one here, I don't. Anyways, here, I can show you this staff. So usually, you know, staffs have gem sockets, uniques cannot. But this unique, your freeze and burn chance become shock chance, and the shock stacks are on the target and the user. So it's kind of like a kiss curse effect. It's got a lot of stats on it. Is it necessarily better than this stat? I actually don't know. I'm not going to sit here and compare. But that's the cool thing about uniques is they have like cool effects on them. However, they can't really be modified, so they're not like overpowered in a sense, which allows yellow items to still be good, or just legendary items. Like this staff right here is pretty good for its required level. So I like that a lot, that uniques aren't super overpowered. Like, you know, getting a full set on Diablo 3 or getting Headhunter on Path of Exile, you just GG, like you win the game. So I really like that a lot. It keeps other gear relevant. Now, obviously there are blues and whites in this game that are just trash, but you really don't see those in late game. Like, I don't remember the last time I've ever seen I know I've seen blues for sure, but you get more yellows and blues in late game. So yeah, just to recap the good ideas that Wolcen has: online offline mode, the Champions Storefall mode, allowing you to create a whole new character after you've beaten the game on one character. The stat allocation system, which is this right here. Ability level up, which is, oh, sorry. Your ability level up system, good. Passive skill tree, good. In-game town building system, good. Optional maps and modifiers for your in-game. Transformation. Oh, almost started one. Oh, almost forgot about that. I'll get into that. Your transformations. No gear stat requirements. Unique legendary system. And then the last thing I forgot to talk about. The customization in this game is awesome. And you actually got cool armors you can play with. That you don't need to buy. I'm looking at you, Path of Exile. I know you're free to play, but I wish there were some cool looking armors in the game. This game has some cool looking armors, and the customization is awesome. You can customize each. Oh yeah, there's shoulder pads on. You choose an individual glove when you gear up, and individual shoulder pads. So you can customize each shoulder pad. You can customize a helmet. I know you can customize each glove. You can't customize each boot. That just kind of sucks, but it's whatever. You customize the weapon. Which, I don't know. That looks kind of cool. And then for each armor piece, not necessarily the weapon pieces, but each armor piece, you can come here and dye a bunch of different. There's a bunch of different dyes you can choose. So this one has 7 dyes you can choose from. Now some of these like don't change anything. I'm sure they're like change something like underneath. I just can't see. This has 3, 1, 2, 3. The ones that are grayed out, you cannot change. You can customize all these to your liking. It's a really great customizable system that more ARPGs need, because you gotta look good while you're slaying monsters. It's just mandatory. So yeah. Alright, so just a couple bad things here that this game has implemented that I'm not a fan of. One, purchasing skills, okay? This game, you pick up skills like you do in, so here, a skill will drop on the ground like that. You're like, ooh, a skill, boom. You right click it, activate it. If you already have a skill, in the bottom right hand corner, you see I have value 100. It just adds 100 to my currency right here, which I can use to level up skills later. Now the problem is with this is, Path of Exile has the same issue, but it fixes it a little bit. Is that I could not get this ability right here, Plague Burst, forever. And this girl right here sells you abilities, okay? And if it's not in here, you have to come back after a rift and do it and check again. And she also has a timer right here that restocks in 14.5 minutes. The way I got this skill though was I would just return to the main menu, come back in, see if it changes every time you log in and log out. And I eventually got it after like 6 tries.
Wake me up
But
when you're
the Path of Exile is the same system, but they fixed it with like they have their own trading system in a sense, where you can go on the website, find the gem you're looking for, and buy it, and you're good to go. And they sell for usually relatively cheap. I don't think Wolcen has a system like that, so I'm not a big fan of how they do it. I'm sure that purchasing skills fits somewhere, and Path of Exile does it well. However, I don't think it works well in this game. I think just flat out finding and buying your skills is kind of stupid. Another thing, no in-game loot hover window. So you have your, let's just say a yellow item drops on the ground. Like, oh, I wonder if that's good for me. You can't tell. There's nothing to, there's no key binding, or you can't hover over and tell if it's good for you. You just have to pick it up and then look. That's really bad, because half the time so many yellows are dropping that your inventory fills up pretty quick, and you don't want to pick up trash. So you just kind of have to pick it up, and if it's good for you and you just don't have enough inventory space, you will never know if it's good for you or not. So that needs to be fixed. That it's kind of like a standard in RPGs nowadays. ARPGs, I should say. So I don't know why, there's no point to not do it. And then no transformation builds, which I did say I was going to get into. So yeah, you have these transformations, but nothing to, like stats on your gear affect any way you get your essence faster, or any kind of ultimate or transformation damaged. There's nothing there, nothing on the passive skill tree that I've seen that affects any type of damage specifically for your transformation. And I think that could have been really cool if these people have ultimate level or transformation type of builds that you can gather this really fast and transform to your ultimate. And like what am I trying to say here? The limitations on that, like you'd be like, oh, you just want to be invincible. I mean, obviously you would need to add like some kind of limitations. Some of it would be the abilities themselves. Like some of these abilities just are kind of shit. Like this ability. This ability is stupid. I don't like it. And like lack of mobility. Like I know this Infinity has like a teleportation ability, but you know, it's kind of bad. It's not as good as this. Oh, well. If I just build up my stuff here. It's not as good as this where I can just like teleport constantly. If I had full willpower, I could do a lot. So yeah, no transformation builds. I think is kind of short-sighted in the sense. Other than that, just overall, Wolcen has a lot of good ideas that should be implemented by ARPGs of today, and I'm just saying next-gen ARPGs. And they also have some bad ideas that maybe some companies should look at and maybe decide not to implement, or maybe they should try to perfect and see it spinning off in their own way. I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening.